What's up you guys, Stoutmeister here, and I just got done watching this video that MrRepzion put up. And by the way, this is a video response to his video. Once again, Onion Boy, Onision, the guy that you go to for advice because Onision knows so much, gave some pretty solid advice to a 17-year-old girl that has been emotionally abused all their life. And you guys want to know what Onision's advice was? I'm going to do this in a commentary style like MrRepzion while giving my 2 cents on this whole thing. And here we go.
Hi Onision, how can I cope with a verbally and emotionally abusive mother? I'm 17, I've been hospitalized twice because of suicidal thoughts, depression caused by the words my mother would say to me. First of all, I don't think you can really blame your suicidal thoughts / depression on anyone but yourself, because that individual could say the same horrible things to another person and they wouldn't have the same response. So you have to take some accountability and realize that if you focus on being stronger and not letting it get to you, that you'll be much better off. And in that, it seems like the real blame falls on you, because the bottom line is the person with the most control over you is you and not her. So don't you think the person with the most power and control in a situation where some kind of crime or bad thing occurs should be held to the highest level of responsibility or accountability? I would assume so. Like, your mom could probably say a lot of horrible things to me and I'm not going to be suicidal. So
of course, the mother of this child could say the same thing to you, Greg, and you wouldn't feel anything. She wasn't your mother. She had no relation to you, Greg. She wasn't a friend of yours. She wasn't a freaking wife of yours. She wasn't a family member of yours. Anybody that you don't know can say crap to you and you wouldn't feel anything. Hell, I get blood on the dance floor fantards that constantly tell me to kill myself and tell me that I'm fat and shit. I don't feel anything because that's not coming from people that I care about. If someone from my own family insulted me, you wouldn't think it'd be natural to at least feel a little bit emotional, Greg? Now, as far as attempting suicide twice on the 17-year-old girl's part, yeah, that is in her control, and it was a bad move on her part to try to do that because she hurt herself in that way. But as far as it being her fault for the repressing memories of her mother, who was supposed to love her, insulting her all of her life, calling her worthless, calling her ugly, fat, whore, cunt, calling her anything to make her feel worthless, to make her feel like she should have never been born. Is it her fault that the mother is saying those things to her? I mean, you might as well go up to a fucking rape victim and tell them that it was their fault for being raped. And I know plenty of people that have gone through the same fucking thing. And guess what? They would not take too kindly to that kind of advice if that was being provided to them. I don't know what kind of lifestyle that you grew up in, Greg, but if you grew up in a similar situation and you're giving out this advice, then shame on you. Fuck you. You might as well go up to an orphan and tell them that it's their fault for feeling depressed because their parents were just killed. You might as well go up to a widow and tell the widow that it's their fault for crying over the loss of a loved spouse. That is the same kind of advice that you're giving to this individual. Now, like I said earlier, if you commit extreme actions like attempted suicide, or if you go out and fucking cause a massacre, killing a bunch of people, then yeah, that is in their control to not do that. That is their control to take out their frustrations in constructive ways, like music, like art, like exercise, like any of those things. Telling the 17-year-old girl that it's her fault for feeling emotional because she was called worthless all of her life. Dude, seriously, fuck you for giving that advice. You fucking piece of shit. That kind of advice, Greg, is very similar to what my father talked to me about 2 fucking years ago. My parents are currently going through a divorce. It's nasty. I don't get into stuff that's way too personal. I'll just let out what needs to be let out. I talked to my father about how I feel about the divorce. Guess what he tells me? He tells me that demons are controlling my emotions and making me feel this way. And it's not because that I am the son of my father and mother and I want to feel a sense of a family bond. No, it's none of that at all. It's just all my fault. All my fault that I feel that way. No, I'm not gonna let that affect me so much that it affects my music routine. It's not gonna affect me in a way where I go out and kill a bunch of people. It's not gonna affect me in a way where I would attempt suicide. Yeah, I can control those things. But if the repressed memory is brought up, Greg, that's gonna fucking affect you. That little religion comment that came from my father and my mother both grew up in pretty corrupt households. They were both abused emotionally, mentally, verbally, and my father's side was a little more on the physical than my mother's, but they both went through that. They both went through parents, their own fathers in this case, being man whores, and there's just a bunch of shit that they went through, but I won't get into that. But I will say that in my mother's case, her father ended up leaving his entire family, my mother's family, to be with his mistress. And that affected her as well as my grandparents on my dad's side as well. And I've been through some emotional and verbal abuse. Thankfully, I've never been through physical abuse, but even then, the emotional and the verbal stuff can stick with you. Physical abuse, that's painful enough. That's painful enough, Greg, but you can heal over time depending on what kind of abuse you go through. But being told that you're worthless, being told that you don't deserve love, that's gonna stick with you for life. And I take you've never grown up in this type of setting, otherwise you wouldn't be saying such ridiculous bullshit.
To continue, they say, just today I asked her to take me to Walmart and offered her $15 gas money, and she told me to take that $15 and shove it because it wasn't enough. So?
Did you hear that remark, people? That proves how arrogant this asshole is. The 17-year-old offering $15 worth of gas money to try to help her mother with gas, and the mother is saying shove it because it wasn't enough. Well, you can get pretty much 4 to 5 gallons in your car, so that would be enough to go to Walmart and back, I assume. Oh my god, this guy is such a fucking idiot. Oh, why is he still on YouTube?
Can't count on family because she's brainwashed them all into thinking that I'm the main problem. Well, as I explained before, you're in control of how you feel. You shouldn't blame how you feel on anyone but yourself because of the fact that you have the primary power and the primary control in every single situation involving your emotions. You seem to blame a lot of your problems on them, but the real problem is that you're considering your mother to be reliable. Whereas as soon as you realize that she's not reliable and you stop counting on her for these things, you will no longer have these negative feelings as intense for her anymore, as you will no longer be negatively affected by her, what with your significant emotional removal from any situation involving her. Okay, so this...
You hear that? Your parents aren't reliable when you are developing into young adulthood, and even in your adulthood, you still rely on your parents from time to time. But nowhere in your life do you ever rely on your parents. You always have to rely on yourself. Well... You kind of have to rely on some sort of parental figure when you're growing up, Greg. Come on. This is basic common sense we're talking about here. You rely on your parents when you're a toddler, when you're a child, when you're a teenager, when you're a young adult. Hell, in some cases when you're an adult and you're part of the 85% that is either out of college and either working a minimum wage job or unemployed to the point where you can't live on your own, so you have to rely on somebody else, either a friend or your own parents. Yeah, you don't ever rely on your parents for help at all. It is an unfortunate truth in some cases where kids aren't able to rely on their parents because of the parents' fucking stupidity and their lack of knowledge on how to use fucking birth control, because obviously this parent right here doesn't know how to fucking raise a kid properly or is just an asshole. And as far as your comment on brainwashing, there are parents out there that will actually brainwash the family to think that you're the problem. I'm going through a similar thing right now, where my mother and myself, but mainly my mother's being attacked for bullshit that's not true. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I understand I'm getting a little bit emotional in this video, but I only say this because I can relate to this 100%, and I know that everybody can relate in some sort of way, or just about everybody in this case, because obviously Onision cannot do that. Or he can, but he's just being an asshole in his video. I've been through some traumatizing things that were emotional abuse. For example, I was 12 years old, and I played the role of Jesus. Everyone knows how stupid 12-year-old boys can be. I do the Christmas play, and I do my whole Jesus is risen crap, and at the end of the play, when everyone's bowing, I go up to the microphone and say, anyone want to go to a bar and get drunk? Now, this is humorous 12-year-old boy type stuff that at most deserves talking with your child. You know what happened to me? I had my hair fucking yanked, and I was told, did I fucking tell you not to fuck up this play? You just wait until you get home. Driving all the way home, which is like 2 miles away from the church we were at, I go to my room, and I'm waiting for my father to come up. My father opens up a window. Here's the window right here. He walks up towards me, and the first thing I think is, he's gonna throw me out the fucking window. But no, he grabs the TV that I had, throws that out the window, grabs my PlayStation 2, throws that out the window as well, and grabs the leather belt and whips my ass with it. Oh no, but that's not the part that really affected me the most. I was crying, I was sorry, and trying to show my father that I'm sorry, and giving him a hug afterwards. You don't deserve my hug. You don't deserve my love tonight. I'll never forget those words. Now, do I let that affect me 100% to where it affects my day-to-day routine? No. But when that recurring memory comes into my brain, I am going to get a little emotional about it. But that's not where it ends. I am sleeping in my room. I'm trying to sleep in my room. Dad comes in 5 minutes later. Where are your rock CDs? I point them out just to not get another ass whipping. He grabs the CDs and puts them in front of my face and says, These are the things that made you act this way. There are demons in these CDs. Crushes them in front of me. And then pretty much tells me what I wore that day I had to wear for an entire week. I had to wear the same shoes, same shirt, same jeans, don't do laundry with them, but wear those for an entire week because apparently I was an unappreciative piece of shit. And I didn't appreciate anything that he ever did over a stupid 12-year-old boy activity at a church play. And he threatened to sell my clothing and magazines, but obviously that was just a scare tactic. But even then, I think you can get a little bit of a picture of some of the things that I've been through. This asshole is also the type of person that will throw temper tantrums, and he would say there's no food in the house and throw freaking fruit and other types of food out of the fridge and make my sister pick it up. To the point where I would try to intervene and calm things down, and there was a time where even he threatened to fight me. He would say, you want to start something? I'm not going to go any deeper into this video from my personal view because I'm just getting too fucking pissed just thinking about it. Oh my god, Greg. Please stop making advice videos. Stop giving out advice to things that you deep down don't have any fucking clue how to word it. And I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt here, Greg. If you meant it in a way where this girl could have controlled her actions as far as committing suicide, you should have worded that a little differently. But to word it in such a way where it's all her fault for feeling this way, like a recurring memory, if it's not affecting her day-to-day life, if it's not intervening with her work every day, if it's not intervening with her schoolwork every day, if it's not making her do anything else, then how is it her fault that she feels that way? As far as my personal stuff, at this point, I don't blame my grandparents for the way that my father was raised. Just because, at this point, you should have some sort of identity and you should learn how not to do certain things when it comes to being a parent. Hell, my mother is the exact opposite. She had low self-esteem all of her life. And I'm one of the only ones in the family that actually showed fucking affection because she just fucking showed so much love. I I had issues when I was a child, and she did everything she could to get me the help that I needed. But that would probably be for another video, because that's just too much to fucking process right now. But I'm just gonna end the video before I go crazy. Stay tuned for more videos, you guys. Take care and see you later.